Some content creators like to kick the hornet's nest once in a while. I, on the other hand, play hacky sack with the fucking thing. So, recently, probably about 2 to 3 days ago, as of recording this video, the DBD Comp Alliance, which is the combination of 4 different competitive leagues, the Champions of the Fog, DBD leagues, Hens and his stuff, and Outrun the Fog, they came together and they pretty much made like this whole big thing where it was like, hey, guess what? This is how we're going to keep competitive integrity throughout all tournaments and things like that. Which is kind of cool. You know, I'm down for the competitive nerds and their thing. But they released a tweet that said DBDCA suspends the player Momoseventh, which if you're not aware was the like 2,000 win streak blight main or something like that, 1,000, something like that. The reason was excessive and intentional bad manners. Then they said the explanation was the player in question humped their opponent during a tournament match. And then a whole bunch of people are like all pissy and all this other stuff, but there is a rule within the DBD Comp League. You can see down here it says in-game related behavior, and I'm just going to read it to you real fast, okay? Disclaimer: the DBD Comp Alliance acknowledges that in-game behavior, notably bad manners, commonly referred to as BM, is a complex issue requiring thorough investigation and judgment. Despite these complexities, it is essential to establish clear regulations on what behavior is tolerated to achieve the aforementioned goals. Players are prohibited from exhibiting intentional and excessive bad manners toward opponents through their behavior during games. The enforcement is a warning or suspension. For the purpose of clarification, the following examples provide additional guidance and understanding. Intentional. Bad manners towards an opponent can be considered intentional when the individual players take specific actions to exhibit such behavior. For example, survivors remain in the trial after the exit gates have been opened and they have the opportunity to leave together. Instead, they choose to wait at the exit gate to teabag the killer, intentionally showing disrespect. Excessive actions go beyond occasional or minor displays of disrespect. They are repeatedly deliberate or significantly disrupt the game's integrity and the enjoyment for other players. Example, a player constantly and repetitively hits a survivor on hook. The so-called humping is an egregious example of bad manners characterized by explicit disrespect towards the opponents and disruptive behavior. Enforcement is suspension. So they ended up doing this entire thing, and it ended up pissing off a lot of, well, I'll be honest with you, cringe-ass weirdos. Now, I've spoken briefly on humping in the past, and I am going to talk about it now, and I am going to tell you right now that once I talk about this, you're going to go down to the comment section, and you are going to, without a doubt, see multiple people take my words and twist them. And I know you're going to, because every time this discussion comes up, this is what happens, okay? So I'm going to make this clear. First off, I'm going to give you a little bit of my background related to SA. All right, so a big trigger warning, skip to the time code on your screen if you don't want to hear, but I'm going to give you my background. I am a 3-time victim of SA. I was sexually assaulted when I was a child at the age of 6, at the age of 9, and at the age of 16. And when I was 15, I was almost the victim of child grooming. Thankfully, my mother recognized the signs and she stepped in and got this man that was trying to groom me out of my life. But when I talk on sexual assault and rape in specific, I am talking from a place of experience. So do not go down into my comment section or into my replies or whatever and start telling me, a sexual assault victim, how I should be looking at this, or how I, a sexual assault victim, are disrespecting other sexual assault victims. Okay? Okay. With that being said, with my victimization in mind and with my experience, I don't like humping. I find humping incredibly cringe because it simulates SA. Simulates. No one is saying the same as. No one is saying raped in a video game. We are saying simulates. You are simulating fucking someone against their will while they are in a position of vulnerability. Do not sit here and pretend that's not what it is. You know exactly for a fact, because it's called fucking humping, that you are simulating fucking someone against their will. Again, this is not the same thing as the real thing, and it's not as traumatic as the real thing. Shut the fuck up, because I know that's what y'all are going to try to come at me with. It is simulating it, and that can be seen as a problem to some people. Now, me personally, I just find the behavior cringe because we have far funnier ways to BM survivors as a killer, including smacking the shit out of them on hook over and over again. But the nodders and the nopers are the funnier fucking things. Even things like slow turns are absolutely hilarious forms of BM that you can use on a regular fucking basis and not be a cringe lord. Now, in particular, Momo has already been explained this kind of thing on several occasions and has vehemently ignored everybody who has brought this up. One of the big things that I want you to recognize is that some victims of sexual assault do react to this kind of thing in a way that makes them feel incredibly uncomfortable. Yes, no one is having anxiety attacks or mental breakdowns because they're getting humped, but it does make several people incredibly uncomfortable, especially people who have gone through this before. So I don't want to hear your bullshit about how people are disrespecting sexual assault victims because they're pointing out that this is actually simulating that, because we are speaking for sexual assault victims who feel uncomfortable. And while I'm not one of them, I'm also not going to tell somebody else how they are allowed to respond to their trauma. There are so many other alternatives to BM that you can do that this humping thing is just absolutely fucking ridiculous, and I'm so sick of seeing it. Now, if it's between you and somebody you know in a random public match, it is what the fuck ever, right? I think if it's between you and your homie in a random public match or in a 1v1, that is between you and your buddy, right? It's kind of like you wouldn't walk up and backslap a stranger, but your buddy says a stupid joke and you're like, dude, shut up, right? It's a kind of thing that if it's something that is agreed upon between friends, then it should be fine. Now, most people who have already looked into the situation are going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to be like, well, actually, it was a friend of Momo's. He said it was his friend, and you know what? It probably was. I didn't look into it, but here is the thing. In regards to this Momo situation, this suspension, regardless of how you feel about it, should be looked at as valid because it broke the goddamn rules. No matter whether or not you like the rules, if you decide to participate in competitive Dead by Daylight and they have rules in place and you break those rules, you are going to get that suspension enforced. Now, if you want this to change, that's up to you. You can go out and talk about it and be like, hey, I think this is kind of stupid. I think that this should change. I think this is one of those things that definitely needs to change. And, you know, fucking go for it. Go campaign for it to change. But do not pretend that somebody actively breaking the rules is supposed to be exempt just because you happen to like them. Now, I don't personally know Momo as a person. I have only seen some of the ways that they have reacted to certain things. And them personally, if I remember correctly, I'm a double check right here. They say, not going to disagree with the suspension, and I apologize for forgetting the ruling on humping, but would just like to clarify that the BM went both ways and was just friendly banter. Won't be repeating the same mistake. And the thing is, so yeah, here's where they said, Zeno is a good friend of mine and it was completely friendly. If you have a problem with it, I don't know what to tell you, LOL. So yeah, so even Momo is like, yeah, it looks like I did break the rules. Then he like deflects and he's like, well, it went both ways and it was just friendly banter. But the point is that regardless, it was the rules. You broke the rules, and that's definitely something you should be looking out for. But that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think down below. I'm sure the comment section is going to be an absolute treat to go through. Just try to keep everything as like tight to the vest as you can. Like I said, guys, especially when it comes to the humping thing, the very first defense people try to jump to is disrespecting SA victims. It is SA victims that have spoken out against this. All right, so don't be fucking weird. Don't try to like don't try to devalue somebody else's trauma. Don't try to tell victims how they're supposed to respond to trauma. Don't be fucking weird about that shit. Try to keep the conversation civil. But yeah, let me know what you think about Momo getting suspended for this. Let me know what you think about humping as a whole, and as always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Need more Kaiser in your life? Well, I've got you covered. Check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload full gameplays, stream compilations, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also upload a daily short with all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description.